This is a Defocus Media production. What's up, everyone? It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover.
And I'm Dr. Jennifer Lyerly, resident optometry nerd.
And welcome to Defocus Media, optometry's #1 podcast, where we discuss the hottest topics, latest technology, eyewear, practice management, and more. So sit back, relax, and defocus.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jen Lyerly, and I'm here with Daryl Glover, and we have a few guests on, as you guys can see as well, that we're going to be excited to introduce you to here in a few minutes. But we're talking about money tonight, Daryl. And
oh man, that's one of my favorite topics. Outside of the man up above and family, then it's definitely the money. So I'm excited about this today, Jen.
I think we can all agree that we love what we do and we love getting paid to do what we do. But what nobody really loves is that uncomfortable situation where you've just offered great service, you've recommended a great product, everybody's on board, and then it's time to get the credit card, and it's like, the person wants it, they want that care, but it's just not in the budget right now to take care of it. And that uncomfortable situation as the doctor, like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Like, I want my patient to have it, they want to have it. Am I supposed to give it away? Like, what? I constantly find myself in these situations where I'm like, oh, and this person's going to help you with the money, because I feel like it's my responsibility as the doctor to make the money part work out, right? But then at a certain point, like, we do have to get paid to do what we do if we want to pay our staff and our employees and run a successful business.
Yeah, Jen, I'm with you 100%. I'm a firm believer, if you work hard and you do the best job, you should get rewarded. And, that's one thing that with our profession, sometimes people can look at our profession in an odd way, just simply because there is the medical side, but we also have the retail piece. But the retail piece pays us handsomely, and we can't back down just because people may not want to spend X amount. There are different practices for different demographics, but we got to stand firm because we went to school, we paid for our education, and we must be rewarded at the end of the day to take care of our family. So today, Jen, who are we talking to? What are we talking about in particular to help make this just a smoother transition whenever we're out in the optical department, doing that amazing handoff to our team members and just educating our patients about what they need to make their life better?
So we've got two excellent guests on the show with us. Please welcome everybody, Dr. Ben Thale. He is a private practice owner of Lifetime Vision and Eye Care in Miami, Florida. And he graduated from Nova back in 2013 and completed his residency in a place that you and I, Daryl, know and love, the Bill Hefner VA in Salisbury, North Carolina.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. That's where Jen and I actually met, believe it or not. That's how
I heard.
It's man, Jen, how many years ago has that been?
We don't need to tell. The reasons aren't quite showing yet, Daryl. Okay. We don't need to, a little over a decade ago now.
We had a hell of a time, though. That VA, they were on point. I mean, they really gave us the tools we needed to prepare for boards, and they had great clinical cases. And I loved it because we got to drive all across, that part of North Carolina to see different demographics. So I really enjoyed myself.
So Dr. Thale is going to be talking about some of his experiences in his private practice, because he's, not only is he running his private practice, but you have a whole enterprise around helping other doctors be successful in their private practices. You founded Mindsight, which is a growth and strategy company to help business owners do things differently, see the world differently, make sure they're retaining staff and paying staff and getting paid.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's helping is all we're in the industry for, helping each other, helping our patients, helping our colleagues. So it's very, very important.
And then our other guest is Mr. Robert Nunziato. He is Sunbit's Inside Sales and Sales Operations Team Lead. And fun fact, you also did competitive fencing and were a fencing coach.
That's right. Yeah. Pretty atypical sport, pretty niche sport, but that's what I did for most of my life growing up. Traveled and fenced and competed and coached. Not a lot of people do it, but it was a fun time.
Okay, so we're going to have to deconstruct this. We're going to have to talk about this a little bit more. You can't just mention that and just leave it at that. So, number one, how did you get into it? And number two, is it a hell of a workout with that sporting activity? Because it just seems, you have to be fast, quick on your feet, and be able to move swiftly. I mean, tell us a little bit more about that, because I've never encountered that sport on my own. I've just seen it on the TV and Olympics and things of that nature for the most part.
Sure. I'll answer both questions. One, I got into it. So I grew up between New York and London. And if anyone's ever, read a Harry Potter book, London's a pretty weird place. So they have magic and fencing in the schools. And I chose fencing. So they threw me into it and I picked it up. And took to it. And when you find a sport that only has, a pretty small group of athletes in it and you're good at it, and I happen to be good at that sport, you stick with it. As far as whether it's a good workout, it's a great workout. If you mix kind of Pilates and sprints, you get something interesting, and you're wearing a heavy mask, so you're sweating the whole time. So it's a fun time, but it's a hard one to do recreationally once you stop doing it competitively.
And how heavy is that mask? I'm pretty sure it's like wearing weights on your face, basically, isn't it?
Feels a little bit that way, yeah. Definitely.
But you coached as well, so you got some champs under your belt.
Yeah, I coached through some USOC, actually, which is not too far from where you are, Dr. Cahill, but Olympic development programs in the city and in some schools, some schools programs and kind of charity programs to help. It's a great program to help kids get into colleges and stuff. So did a lot of that until moving into the tech sales world.
Fantastic.
So we're expecting like a lot of this fencing protocol to come across in those conversations today. I know a major part of it is probably the strategy behind seeing opening and taking it. So when it comes to getting paid, you got to think like that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'll try and make as many fencing puns as I can along the way as well. Yeah.
I love it.
So, as always, like we're here to learn from you guys. You guys are our expert guests. So we're going to ask some questions to see how you're managing this in your offices. But I mean, obviously in an ideal world, when we're talking about getting paid for our services, patients would just pay up front. And I know many doctors listening to this conversation are probably thinking like, all right, well, you tell them how much it costs and they pay it or they don't get it. And it's that simple. But why do we need to think differently about that situation and come up with more creative solutions?
I think that, we all have this, we've heard the saying, cash is king, but in actuality, cash flow is king. So it is possible to get paid up front, but you don't have to put the burden on the patient. If you can get paid by third party and have the patient spread it out to where it's comfortable to themselves, it's a lot easier because you're preserving the patient's cash flow, you're improving the office's cash flow, and it's kind of a win-win situation for everybody because the model that our culture is in is very much subscription or pay over time, where it's if you can get a third party to pay you in full and you're still helping the patient because you're getting them the treatment that they need and they just pay over time.
I mean, that makes so much sense. I mean, every time I go online to purchase maybe a clothing article, they ask me, do I want to break up the payments or do I want to pay for it in full? And, like you said, subscription services, especially for millennials, I mean, we like to just live our life on autopilot, and having an option like that just makes a world of difference. So why wouldn't we want to do that in healthcare as well? I mean, I like that. And I love that concept of, cash flow is king. And I love to be able to pay by someone else and not put that burden on the patient, because I'm going to look like the hero at the end of the day whenever that takes place. And they're going to want to spend more money in my office because they know that's something that's available. So it makes perfect sense.
That's very true.
I'm going to throw a stat at you that I learned from talking with you guys at Sunbit, but 40% of American households cannot afford an unexpected expense of $400 or more. And you might think, well, $400, like they're probably not spending that at my office. But I mean, guys, even after insurance, the out-of-pocket expense on average for a pair of glasses in your optical is $200, across the country. So, and that's including single vision and everything else. So it very easily, even after insurance, if they get a nice pair of progressives, you're looking at $400, and you get those questions from your patients like, is that after insurance? Like, I have insurance though, and you're like, no, my insurance already came off. So you hear that in people's voices. They were not prepared for that price.
Absolutely. I think it's funny that when a patient shows up to the office, they never know what their insurance is, but they do know that their insurance is supposed to cover everything.
Yep. We all probably hear that maybe a million times a day, and it just blows my mind because I'm like, how do you not know what you're paying for, and why do you think you're going to come in here and get everything for free? You know, I mean, just look at how much you're paying for your insurance in general. You're paying pennies on a dollar. So why do you expect to come in and get that $1,000 frame or that top level lens option when your insurance is not going to cover it in full and you're going to have to pay out of pocket? I mean, you have to accept that responsibility. But that's another conversation for another day. But that is tough to experience day in and day out. But I'm excited today because you guys are going to tell us some ways that, you know, Dr. Thal, that you've been able to utilize that in your practice. And Robert, you're going to break down how we can actually bring this to our practice and really change the game in eye care. So, Jen, what do you want to do? You want to dive deep into it and learn more so we can see if it's something that we could actually utilize ourselves?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, when we're talking about getting paid by a third party, Dr. Thaler, you mentioned, I mean, obviously, it sounds ideal for you not to have to accept partial payment up front. You just go ahead and get paid. And then it works out on the back end where the patient's taking care of everything to the third party, but you've have no risk involved in this situation. So, Robert, would you mind sharing how Sunbit is making this happen for private practitioners?
Yeah, 100%. So I'll share my screen, and I think, you know, before I open it up, I just want to piggyback on something that you said, Dr. Lyerly, and that's, you know, the tough decision that someone's making when, you know, they're faced with buying the pair of glasses or whatever it is that's costing them $200-300 out of pocket. You know, what we're finding is a lot of times people are making a tough decision between what they want to buy and what they really need. And you know, we don't want to see anyone walk out of your practice feeling unsatisfied or like they made that tough decision and aren't happy with, you know, the glasses they have on their face or whatever it might be. So we've built a solution that, without making anyone feel too salesy or like they're pushing something, allows you to help the patient capture or get what they want, and you capture business. I'm going to share my screen. So guys, just give me a shout when the screen shows up and I'm showing the background of this tablet that's in my hand.
You're good.
Awesome. So I'm going to show you how this thing works in real time. This is the same product that Dr. Theo has in his practice, so I might ask him to do some role play with me, but I'm going to act for a moment as the associate or the optician or whoever in your practice is working with the patient here. I'll be James, the associate. I click scan card now on the tablet, and I'm going to ask the patient for their ID. So I take the patient's ID and play along. It's my ID. I'm going to scan the barcode on the back, and please don't hold the New York ID against me, guys. I am going to confirm the patient's phone number, email, right there. Click continue. They confirm their address. It's pulled off of the ID automatically. And then the last step for that patient, they're going to click agree and check the options. Dr. Theo, will you do me a favor and, you know, symbolically hit the button for me, agree and check your options?
I got you. Yep.
Boom. And hey, Dr. Theo, congratulations. You just got approved for $1,500.
All right.
So pretty fast. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. So number one, the speed of just doing this is just fantastic. I mean, for me, I'm one of those guys that, you know, I believe in technology being in the office. And if you have to do something where it's like so many different steps, so many different buttons, or you have to write something out, it's a waste of time, and patients aren't going to want to do that to spend more money in your practice. But with this, it was simply just taking a picture of an ID, confirming the address, and hitting go or hitting the start button. And it was that simple. I mean, talk about it. I don't understand. I mean, I'm kind of lost. It just seems like it's too simple to actually take place.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, you know, the way you might define strong technology is that it's this simple interface that's intuitive and easy to use, but behind the scenes, what's going on is complex. So you notice we asked the patient to agree and check their options. When they do that, Sunbit looks at their credit history, and we're able to make a snap-second decision how much we can approve them for. And that's what you saw. That was a real live demo. It's the same process that a patient goes for. And Dr. Thayil, you can confirm that you're using this all the time in your practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The other thing, and I think this is really important, besides the speed, which gets everyone excited and also is great for whoever, you know, in your practice is actually the one offering it. We don't hit anyone's credit score with a hard check. So it's a soft pull throughout the transaction. And we approve everyone above 500 FICO. So this is not limiting. You know, it's not declining the person who doesn't have high access to credit. We're approving 90% or more of people. Dr. Thayer, I think your practice has about a 94.5%.
We're at
approval rate.
94%. Yep. Yeah. It's a really awesome technology. And because of the speed of service is a huge thing in our culture, right? In our society, we want things done immediately and fast. We want it done yesterday, right? So other third-party financing, there's actual an application process, right? And sometimes you gotta call in to verify a patient's identity, that they're sitting in front of you at the office, and all of this stuff. And really with Sunbit, I was a little skeptical at first. I was like, is it really going to be 30 seconds? But it was actually like 30 seconds. It was super easy. At the transparency of the company, you'll see if there's interest, terms of payment, the amount of payment, and everything is done electronically for the patient. It's super easy.
Yeah, and let me show you. So I'm sorry, Dr. Glover.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think let me show you the transparency, just so everyone understands, what we're talking about. Guys, you're the doctors. What's the price point in your practices where a patient usually starts to get a little bit, maybe scared of the price or start to kind of think, well, do I really need that second pair of glasses?
That's hard because
I'll say $400 to $600, somewhere in that range.
Definitely in that range, you start getting the concern.
Sure. So let's go northern end. Let's say we're looking at the $600 purchase. So I put that into the tablet, and now the patient, and I'll present this to the patient for a moment. Instead of spending $600 today, we're going to ask you for a small down payment of $60. That's all that's due today. The rest is split into 6 or 12 monthly payments. If you choose 3 monthly payments, you're not going to pay any interest at all. That's how it's split up. If you choose 6 or 12, some interest applies. You'll see the interest laid out transparently to Dr. Thayil's point, and we also break down the dollar amounts, both as a monthly fee and total, so you know exactly what you're paying. Instead of paying $600 today, if you split it into 6 monthly payments, you pay $60 today and $623 total over 6 months. Or if you choose 3 months, it's $180 a month, but no interest. So it's the same price you would have paid otherwise. And guys, I know I just ran through it fast, but it is that simple and is that easy for the patient. And I will hand it back to you guys because you're the experts.
Well, I mean, just to kind of recap, are you telling me that if I decide to pay in 3 months, there's no interest, and if I do the 6 or 12 months, then there's an interest that's tagged along with it, basically? I mean, is that just the overall view?
Exactly that. I will say with the 6 or 12 months, if I chose 6 months and I decided 4 months into it, I'm ready to pay this off, I want to stop paying interest, it's simple interest. So it doesn't, continue to build. You can effectively lower your APR. But the 3 month option is there for everyone, whether they're 500 FICO on the credit spectrum or 800. It's available to everyone. And if I'm looking at the 12-month option, and the point I like to kind of impress on the 12-month option is usually that price point, and this is probably not too different than what someone might pay for a year supply of dailies. The monthly option is usually closer to what they're paying for the worse option, on a month or 2 month kind of basis. So usually you can get what you actually wanted, the year supply of dailies, and split it into 12 monthly payments and actually pay less than you're paying for the less favorable option today. So that's one example I like to draw here.
I mean, there's a couple of really great things about this where there's no interest, right, if they pay in 3 months. So that's very appealing to the patient. And then I just keep coming back to the speed of this, where I feel like if the longer a patient's waiting for something to go through for paperwork, the more time they have sitting there thinking like, I can't afford this. What am I doing? I just need to leave and not get anything. But if it's done quickly and presented in a reasonable way, they're much more likely to be like, okay, let's keep moving forward. But it's that moments of silence where 10 minutes go by and you're like, you know what? I don't have the money for this. I just need to walk. I just need to get the copy of my prescription. And that's what tends to be the real killer. And also if you guys have ever been when a patient gets denied from a credit check, it's so uncomfortable for the staff, for the office, for the patient. Obviously, if there's any other patients in the office, I mean, God forbid, it's so uncomfortable for everybody. You don't want to be on the side of that. So the high approval rating is really nice.
Dr. Larry, if I can speak to, you mentioned the word, I can't afford this, right? You use that phrase. I usually start my financial conversations in the exam room. Right? The patient will ask, hey, how much is this going to cost? That type of a thing. And I always tell the patients, it's not a matter. I never think you can't afford something. Never, ever, ever. I don't think you can't afford it. I always think that costs are unexpected. And I say, listen, if you have to buy a car right now, it's unexpected. It's not that you can't afford it, it's just unexpected. And when things are unexpected, it's easier to just spread it out over time. And that's what we're going to help you with when we go out to the optical. So it's never a cost of unaffordability. And you're keeping the respect between you and the patient, because you don't even know how much money they have. They may be all
Right.
tattered up and coming into the office, but they may be sitting in with a bunch of cash in their pocket, you know? So you never want that assumption that someone can't afford something. It's just unexpected costs. And we do that at the grocery store. We're like, oh my gosh, I put so much stuff in my cart and I expect it to be this much, right? So it's always unexpected costs. It's not that you can't afford it. And I think that's an important conversation to have with the patient. It's not affordability. It's just being able to keep the cash flow going over time.
Yeah. For me, I really prescribe per lifestyle, and I just tell my patients, I'm giving you these options, and I kind of leave it at that when it comes to that money point, because I don't know, there's something about when a patient comes in to see me, I think they know they're going to spend money simply because they do their research, they look you up online, they see what you're about, they know you're going to talk about a certain type of technology and stuff like that. But I do have patients that do come in and they have some issues with financing that sell, and I want to be able to really offer them a solution, and this looks like a great solution. Robert, I would love to ask you, what's the difference between this and care credit, because I know that is an option and solution that's out there that most practices and businesses have, because it's been around for a while. If you don't mind just giving a breakdown of the difference between the two. I mean, I can clearly see that it works a lot quicker, and that you guys also have just that wide spread of people that you can really touch, which can really, really change a practice quite a bit.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. I think probably the question that most people think when they see this. We differ from medical credit cards, and that's the bucket I'll put care credit in. It's a credit card, which is backed by a bank, and banks have credit policies that don't allow them to approve anyone below, let's call it 680 FICO, which leaves about 70% of the market, give or take, unapproved. And so, I'll speak about the experience as well, because Dr. Lyerly, you spoke to this just a moment ago. If someone comes into your practice and they want to purchase a pair of glasses, they can't afford it, and you don't have a fast option, you might give them an application to fill out. That's 5 to 10 minutes of paperwork. What happens on the back end of that is someone's credit score gets hit with a hard check. So they might not realize it, but later on they're going to see points dinged on their credit score, which isn't great, especially with the risk that you're not going to get approved. And it's still a coin flip whether that patient gets approved. About 50% of the time they get declined. So experientially, no one, obviously I'm not a doctor, but I assume no doctor gets into it because they want to make a patient feel like they're walking out of their practice, worse off than they walked in. So I think that's kind of the key difference is, even if someone, in the rare case that, 5% in Dr. Thales' case got declined, it took 30 seconds and it had no negative impact, and they're not surprised. So, you scan your ID, hey, no sweat. So that's, I think, the biggest difference. Also, just the ease of use. We're not forcing a credit card down anyone's pocket. I think you wouldn't go to dinner and realize, hey, this is a $200 dinner I didn't expect. Let me apply for a credit card just to pay for it. That just doesn't make sense. Why would you do it with a pair of glasses? So that's the kind of parallel I draw. But I think those are the key differences between the products.
Gotcha. And Ben, you seem like you're all about your money, man. You got the business, you got the practice. Let's talk about how this really has grown your practice. I mean, like, have you made a tremendous amount of money by just adding this technology to your practice? I mean, what's going on that end?
I will say, when it comes to, so you mentioned care credit earlier, we've always had patient financing in my office. We're coming up to 5 years almost now. And I'm expecting a call from care credit soon to be like, hey, how come you're not putting a lot of applications through? But to be honest with you, it's because, when a patient hears, hey, we got to check your credit or we got to do this, it's very difficult, because even for me, I wouldn't even want that to happen. I'm like, I'll just figure it out, So in August, I think the numbers, we put up an extra 10K in August, right? So, and those were sales where, hey, listen, maybe someone wanted to walk, or maybe I can go to, I don't know, Costco, or maybe I can go to somewhere else. Warby Parker is very big where we are, right? Maybe we can go to these places. But we always position ourselves to say, hey, listen, this is what's going to be best for you. This is what we're prescribing. Because it breaks my heart to when someone comes into the office and they're expecting something and they leave without it, we did disservice to them,
Right.
you know, because
Yeah.
they're coming in expecting care and treatment and then they can't get it. So what does that mean? We failed them. We
Right.
absolutely failed them. So I think it's very important. And it's not just the money and it's not just the sales, but if you position yourself to really getting the patient what they need, financing is something that they need,
Yeah. And
and you're getting them that.
I'm glad you touched on that. What you actually need. Are you seeing an increase in? Clearly, you're getting more captures in regards to eyewear, but are you seeing an increase in more of your premium products, like your premium anti-reflective coatings, your photochromics, maybe a premium progressive lens? Are you seeing more of that opportunity take place, or are you just seeing more of people that really don't want to spend the money or have the money just getting the bare minimum and utilizing the service? Like, what are you seeing an increase of?
It's an interesting question because the way that I've structured my office is we offer all the premium stuff.
Okay.
So when we're presenting a number to a patient, it's automatically the tiered progressive, you know, the AR, the photochromic, and then we have a conversation about, hey, listen, this is why we're doing this, and that. In terms of number of captures, it's definitely increased it because we'll get the patient to agree to financing. We can get referrals to family members who, hey, listen, you guys, my dad doesn't have insurance, and since you guys have a payment plan, he could totally do a payment plan, right? So it actually brings more people into the office just by offering the referral. So in terms of the product that's offered, we always make it a point to offer the best because we believe people deserve the best.
Absolutely.
And then if someone wants to step down a tier or something like that, we'll try to figure out something that's going to work out for them. But we always offer the best because everyone deserves the best, regardless of who they are.
Fantastic.
You know, Dr. Thale, I want to brag on you a little bit because you're talking about the financial impact. And from August, just through Sunbit financing, you increased revenue by over $10,000 in 1 month. So it is definitely making a difference in your practice, it seems like, where maybe people who would have chosen to leave without purchasing that eyewear or getting that service that are deciding like, yeah, let me go ahead and get what I really need today.
Yeah, I agree because one of the core values of our office is just helping people. We help each other as a team, and we're going to make sure we help the staff, the patient. So we know that we're helping the patient by offering them a solution to get them the care that they need. You know, my brother's a dentist, and I've sat in a lot of dental consulting kind of things. And dentists are sitting around saying, "Hey, listen, we got to do a full mouth reconstruction, and it's going to be $30,000." And like they say it with no problem. And I'm like, how come we can't just sit and ask for what we're getting the patient what they need, and we're getting, you know, recompensed for it. You know, we're getting what we deserve for it, type of a thing. Because you have to pay your staff, you have to keep your lights on, you got to bring in technologies to the office, and so it's just fair in one sense. And the biggest thing is just offering the help.
Yeah. Well, the other thing also, I think it builds a lot of confidence in your office, right? I mean, when your team members, your optical team is able to, make that transaction with what you actually prescribed and not feel like a used car salesman, because they now have that resource available to get the solution that they need. I mean, that's going to boost the morale in the office because there's a lot of times that patients or team members, they'll sometimes look at a person and not want to help them because they feel like they may not have money. And in reality, like you said before, that person may be loaded and coming in wanting to spend, and they just don't spend money on clothes, but they spend it specifically on glasses because they
Yeah.
want to be able to see to continue to make more money.
Yeah.
So I know it has to be definitely a confidence booster in the office just to see that you're helping more people and that it's drawing more to the bottom line, and that means they're going to get more money down the road as well.
Yeah. If you have incentive programs with your sales team, they're going to get more sales, right? So they'll get a little bit more payout or more commission and things like that, you know. So it helps the sales team as well.
And hey, I actually do have, I don't know if this is interesting for everyone to see, but I have the numbers from Dr. Thale's practice for the first 3 months, including, the staff reporting. And I don't know if it's interesting for people to see the kind of reporting that you look at and the revenue. I don't know if that's something we want to share or not. Happy to pull it up though.
Yeah, let's
show. They're real numbers. You can show.
They're real numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like way to put them on the spot, man.
We already knew August was good.
Oh my.
Sorry, guys. No, but these are real numbers, and you know, I said it's the 3 months of revenue. I don't know if you saw this, Dr. Dale, but this is, you know, from your launching through mid September, $23,000 in revenue, mostly incremental, and you can also see, you know, what your sales team did and how they were incentivized, and I think it's pretty cool to see from my perspective.
You can see on the bottom, I've been part of the sales cycle too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Man, that 469, that's pretty impressive there.
Yeah.
Do you know what your average was prior to this?
We were actually, so we track that. If you don't measure it, you can't tell what you're doing, right? So we track everything. But so we're probably in 360. So we've gotten at least $100 more per Sunbit transaction.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that adds up after a while.
So that's above, Jen, to your point about the stat, that's above what most people say they can't afford unexpected costs, you know? So.
Well, if anyone's listening to this and they're still, you know, like, oh, technology, you know, some people they're like, oh, adding in technology. Like, what they've been doing in the past for many offices, and I know I used to do this too, was say, all right, pay 50% down, and you like create your own payment plan at the office. I would like to share a story about why you should not do that, because I have done this and made this mistake. So if anything sticks with you from this conversation, please remember my error and learn from my mistake. I had a patient who was in his like mid 20s, minus 0.5, minus 0.5 SIL, but he couldn't stand wearing glasses and he really wanted Ortho K. He came in for Ortho K. And I was like a little hesitant because with that prescription, I didn't think he was a fabulous candidate anyway, but he wanted it so bad. And we were charging $1,800 for Ortho K. And I was like, you know, mentioned that, and he was like, well, you seem to think maybe I'm not the best candidate, so I don't know if I want to spend that. And at the time, I was like, here, look, we'll order things in, and I'll let you pay half down. And then once we get the lenses and we order, if you decide you want to keep them, take them home, you'll owe the rest of it that day when you leave. All right, so the lenses come in, I pay for them and everything, and he's puts them in and decides I am going to take it home. He's like, oh, I didn't bring my checkbook or anything with me today, but at my next week follow-up visit, I'll bring it back and pay. And I was like, oh, you know, like they asked it, okay, that's fine. We'll see you next week. Never saw this guy again, ever.
That sounds about right.
Somewhere with his Ortho K lenses. and do not get burned on the half price down.
You know, when I first bought the office, that was the mantra, was 50% down. Mm-hmm. And I bet you if I go into the lab, I have glasses sitting there from 2016 that are half paid. If I go through it, I bet you I'll find something like that. So getting paid up front is key. You go to Starbucks, you pay up front and you wait for your drink. You go to, you know, the grocery store, you pay for the milk before you drink it. So you buy a plane ticket, you pay for the ticket before you sit in that seat. So it's not something unusual that we're doing by asking for payment up front. A lot of times we feel weird, right? Because we're not actually giving them something the same day. But that's just, and people are used to it. People are used to paying up front.
Yeah. I feel like maybe the eye doctor is the only place people ask not to pay up front. I can't imagine going to anywhere else where you're asking for them to do something for you or order something for you and you don't pay for it ahead of time. So come on, eye doctors, let's pull it together. And there's this great technology that we can use called Sunbit.
You know what?
No mistakes anymore.
If someone pays up front, they're going to pick up their glasses. And if they pick up their glasses, they're going to see. And if they see, they're safe on the road. They can see their kids on stage at a recital. So you're actually doing them a service by collecting payment up front.
One thing I'll say is, I think for you guys, you get paid up front, right? You're getting paid. Sunbit assumes risk. The patient, though, we're tapping into that desire for them not to have to pay up front, right? They get to split their bill. So they have a down payment today, but most of it they split over time. And when you think about trends, even, I'll hold up my smartphone. I assume all of us have one. And I don't know about you. I actually don't think I know anyone who's paying, the retail price for the smartphone the day they buy it anymore. It's just kind of intuitively like, yeah, I split it over time. I don't think about it as financing. It's just kind of a logical way to do it. And that's kind of the mentality that we go into this with is, why not split up something bigger over time? I don't feel like I'm getting, it's a bad thing that I pay an extra $2 a month than I would have to get the thing I really wanted rather than the flip phone that I might have defaulted to if I had to pay for it today. Yeah.
Now, are you seeing more of a certain demographic? I mean, are you seeing this better with millennials, or is it just all across the board? You're seeing all your patients utilizing this technology?
Yeah, sorry, Dr. Theo.
No, go ahead.
No, you are.
Both of you. I like to hear, in the office and just as a whole for Sunbit.
So my office is, it's not in the best part of town. I'll say that. Right. So, but there are a lot of people with steady jobs that work with the county, work with the city, that type of thing, from all age demographics. So I see a lot of people who have retired, and I see a lot of millennials. So offering the financing to everybody is actually helpful to everybody. When it comes to the individuals who have retired, the conversation is kind of like, hey, listen, you have a fixed income, so you have to have a fixed outgo. If we can control what's coming in and control what's going out, we're going to get you the care that you need. For millennials, they're like, listen, I don't know how to save money, right? So, so I can just kind of like, if it's $20 a month, I can scrounge around $20 a month, right? So it works on both ends of the spectrum for us.
Fantastic. And does that support what you
choices are excellent, by the way. Like
you.
It's very smart, the words that you use to explain this.
Oh, thank you.
And Robert, does that sound about right all across the board from what you guys are seeing and hearing?
Yeah, I think absolutely. On the millennial side, I think you're seeing just the trend in the market, not just with Sunbit, but if you go online and if someone were to go shop online, they'd see all these options split over time. We're just trying to bring that existing desire and kind of experience that exists really only online into brick and mortars right now. And I think we're the only ones doing that, which is, great. For others, though, I mean, I'll speak to our founders are from Israel. And one of the reasons, that they came up with this idea is because in Israel, along with other countries, I think Brazil is another one where if you go shop in the market, you're automatically just kind of by default culturally offered the ability to split your bill into installments. It's the way payments are offered. It just doesn't happen to be a system that's really kind of ubiquitous or used in the US. And there's not a necessarily good reason for it. It's just not set up that way with the way credit scores are built. And, we thought there was a way to, and our founders, knew there was a way to set this up and for a company to take the risk and give, a business the ability to help their patients. And on the other side, the patients, the ability to get what they were really looking for. So it does work for all demographics and probably for different reasons, but we're seeing millennials buy into it for one reason, people from other countries who knew this system for another. And, if you're older, maybe it's just kind of fun technology that you've never seen before, but I think definitely kind of all across the board.
I didn't mean to disparage millennials. I'm on the old end of the millennials.
No, we all are. We're all.
No,
we get it. I get it.
That's just kind of the rumors, right?
Yeah, it's two sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Jen and I'm more of a seasoned millennial than Jen.
Yeah.
She's a little bit beneath me, or not beneath me, but below me in age. So I'm like the old man, and Jen is
Me
like
too,
the young lady of the crew. But yeah, I'm a seasoned millennial. I'll take it. I'm not happy about it. One thing that I like that you guys had showed earlier was that, or you did, Robert, is that you had an iPad. And, again, when it comes to a practice, your appearance is everything. Your technology is everything. Does every practice get an iPad with this, or how does that work? How is it processed with the patient? Do we go to the computer and do it on our own personal computer, or do you guys supply iPads, or do they use it from a cell phone? I mean, what's the deal with that?
Yes, so it's a great question. The tablet is one part of kind of the bigger solution. So the tablet is the point of sale solution that Sunbit provides because we want to be able to troubleshoot if something goes wrong. You can also load this onto an iPad if you're using an iPad in your practice, but that's the kind of point of sale. So usually the objection happens when you're interacting with someone. So we want to give you something that allows the patient to scan their ID. We do also provide an online tool. Someone's comment's pretty funny. And I'll firmly put
Jen.
that's a good one. We have an online solution too, and I'm the millennial who needs constant positive reinforcement. By the way, if we're just categorizing ourselves, so please tell me I'm doing a good job. No, we also have an online solution, so you can send a link to your patient. They can go on your website. We set up like a web banner for them to find out what they're approved for. So even before they come sit in your chair, they might know, hey, I was approved for $1,500. And what I kind of like about that is it takes away some of the stress of, what if I decide I want to purchase this? What if I decide I want to buy a second pair of glasses? Can I cover it? Going in, you can. So we have both of those solutions.
Gotcha. Now,
I will mention, sorry, Dr. Glover.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I will mention from the phone call a patient makes to the office all the way through the exam into the optical, a patient is always going to ask, but how much is it? How much is it? How much is it? And we make it a point to say, we'll give them a number or we'll give them a range and say, don't worry, you don't have to pay all that today. And then we'll go into why or how do we accomplish that. And it's just through the payment plan. So you're not masking a total number. You're saying, hey, listen, it's going to be $1,000, but don't worry, you don't got to pay that today. Yes. And it just makes you're building so much rapport by finding a solution for the patient.
Yeah, I love it.
I know you love this. I mean, how many times before you had the solution were patients like, oh, can Dr. Thale do something for me? Or
all the time. And I'll get a message on
oh my gosh, like what's special for you? What did I do for the last person? I don't know. But everybody it's good. Your patients have a relationship with you. And so they can tell that you care about them. So they think that you're going to do something special for them. But then that's a lot of pressure on you to do something special for every single person that is hurting your business. Yeah. So it's nice to have okay, this is the payment plan. This is the payment plan that's offered to everyone. And there's no other special option.
Yeah. They're not looking for that hookup.
No, they're not.
Well, this is great. I mean, we have a lot of people that are watching and wondering, how can I get down with this movement? How can I get down with this technology of Sunbit? Robert, if you don't mind just telling our followers, our listeners, what they can do to learn more about this, or maybe even set up a demo. That way they can take their practice to the next level and earn that $23K over X amount of months as well. What can we do to connect our people with you guys?
Yeah, so I see you're flashing the banner at the bottom of the screen, so that's awesome. If you go to optical.sunbit.com/defocusmedia or text demo to 310-807-281, either way, we'll get in touch with you. We'll follow up. We'll schedule some time so I can walk you through, or someone from our team as well will walk you through how this program works in more detail. We'll go through kind of the back end numbers, everything that is involved for your patients, all the stuff that you want to know. The same session that all of you have sat there actually and seen. Just make sure this is a program that's a good fit, and I'd love to hear a little bit about your practices as well if you're listening. So that's the process from here. If anyone's interested, just reach out and we'll get you set up with some time to run through everything.
Fantastic. And like you said, I got to sit through the tutorial, and I was blown away by just the technology and just how easy it actually is. And I mean, I know you showed it to us again, and I just still can't believe that it takes 30 seconds and that you have the technology of an iPad in your hand or tablet to just give that complete wow factor. I mean, speed is one thing. Having that appearance of technology is another thing. Not really dinging someone's credit is a major thing. And that widespread of being able to touch so many people makes a world of difference. So this is great technology, man. I can't wait to see where you guys go next with it. And I want to make sure that all our listeners and followers can hit that 469 because that is an amazing.
It's a good average. It's a good average.
That's something for all of us to shoot for sure. All right. Good night, guys. It's good talking with you.
Likewise. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you guys. You guys have a great one. It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover, and the lovely Dr. Jennifer Lyerly. You guys have a great one.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you again.
All right, colleagues, and it's a wrap. Thank you dearly for hanging out with the Defocus Media team. We hope truly something resonated with you. And if it did, be sure to give us 5 stars and make sure you follow us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you named it. And our handle is at Defocus Media on all platforms. And until next time, be sure to keep it 2020, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.